So, you're here because you want to start a town. Or, more likely, you're here because you have 30 minutes to eat your lunch, and the idea of being alone with your thoughts for longer than it takes to remove your phone from your pocket is too much of a nightmare for your psyche to bear. Either way, I'm here to help. Now, one disclaimer I need to get out of the way really quickly. There are a lot of things called towns that aren't really towns. Like, a couple of years back, there was this big story about 100 dorks on Twitter who pooled their money to buy this town in Connecticut, but it wasn't a town. It was just a big plot of land that happened to have a couple buildings on it. It was technically part of a different town called Moodus, which was a real town and wasn't being auctioned off like a lightly used water mattress. I guess you could call Johnsonville a town if you wanted, but then you could also just call your neighborhood a town, or your apartment a town, or hell, split your apartment into 5 towns and have them all declare war on each other. Towns are a hard thing to define. So for the sake of this video, we're going to stick to a very formalized definition of what a town is. That means a legally outlined area governed by its own municipal government. Obviously, starting your own town works differently in every country, state, or whatever they call states in Canada, so I'm going to have to generalize a bit here. But fortunately for me, most countries follow the exact same process for starting your own town, which is, no, you can't start your own town. And the reason for that is pretty simple. Land can either be incorporated, meaning that it's governed by some local municipal government, or it can be unincorporated, meaning that it's not within the bounds of a town or city and is only governed by some higher form of government like a state or county. In almost every country on Earth, there is very little or no unincorporated land at all. If you're in England and just left the boundaries of Upton Snodsbury, then you'll automatically be within the boundaries of North Piddle. By the way, do you think I made up those names to make fun of British people? Because I didn't. They did that to themselves. Anyway, there are occasional exceptions in unincorporated territories in remote or unpopulated places like some forests in Germany and parts of the outback in Australia, but basically, you can't start a town in most places of the world because everything is already a town. Now, the only 2 countries that still have big chunks of populated, unincorporated land are Canada and the United States. If you leave a town in Canada or the US, you might just be in not a town, which happens to be the perfect place to start a town. But since Canada just doesn't seem to have any formal process for private citizens to establish their own towns, that leaves pretty much just the United States. Yep, we might not have free healthcare, but at least you can start your own town named after a satellite TV company so you can watch Hawaii Five-0 for free. So let's say that you're one of the lucky 40% of half as interesting viewers who live in the land of unincorporated land. How would you go about starting a town? Well, the first step is to find the right state. Because of varying state laws, this can be much easier in some states than in others. Firstly, you can basically cross out these states because they're either entirely incorporated or almost entirely incorporated. Then you can cross out these states because all of their towns are general law towns, which means that they can't pass their own laws, and there's no point in doing this if you can't enforce a government-mandated everyone has to hang out with me law. You can also cross out Hawaii because their cities are counties and their counties are cities, and the whole thing is very confusing, but basically this doesn't work here. Finally, you can cross out Ohio because, well, it's Ohio. Now that you've picked your state, the process is fairly straightforward. You're going to have to do a land survey of where you want your town to be to make sure that it has everything you want, like houses and people, and nothing that you don't want, like the annexed territory of the entire city of Seattle. This part is especially important because some states have minimum requirements for how many people are needed to form a town. In Arizona, it's 1,500, in Maryland, it's 300, and in Idaho, you might need to drag people over state lines to hit its limit of 125. Once you know who's going to live in your town, you're going to need to get a petition signed by some of them. Usually it's a percentage of your population, sometimes it's just a flat number, and in Florida you can apparently just skip this step altogether. Then you take those 2 things, along with a proposed town name and usually some sort of formal plan for providing things like police, firefighters, and garbage disposal to either a local judge or the state legislator, who then gets to decide whether your town is a town. The real question is, should I do this? And the answer is probably no, but there are a few reasons why you might want to. After all, being able to pass local laws lets you do cool stuff like banning Jews from living there. Wait, no, that is probably unconstitutional and not cool. Please don't do that. A better example would be the one I gave 2 videos ago, where Disney founded several cities in Florida in order to run Disney World with basically no government oversight. They can manage all their own utilities, run their own emergency services, and regulate their own land use. But that, obviously, isn't a super common reason for founding a town. Usually, towns are founded because there was already an unincorporated community somewhere, and they wanted to get official government recognition to stop another nearby town from absorbing and replacing them with a single giant Starbucks. That being said, founding your own town is still a giant gamble. You'd be cutting off all the services that your county would provide for free, and all your neighbors would be at constant risk of falling into a barren, lawless hellscape. But you could name it something funny, so up to you. Anyway, hey! Here's a better idea than starting a town. Starting a YouTube channel. I should know because I did it a bunch of times and now my life is awesome. Why am I telling you this? Well, apparently I used so much stock footage that I hit some threshold where my stock footage supplier, Storyblocks, decided to sponsor me. And here's the thing, I'm actually really excited to talk about Storyblocks because I would have basically gone bankrupt without them. Most stock footage sites charge hundreds of dollars for individual clips, but Storyblocks charges far less than that for an unlimited subscription. I've used Storyblocks for years, and I wouldn't be able to make videos as quickly and affordably as I do without their massive library of footage. They have everything, like everything. I just typed the word asparagus into Storyblocks, and now I have more videos of asparagus than most people have of their children. And if you want to produce your own videos but you don't need any stock footage, they also have music, sound effects, photos, After Effects and Premiere templates, basically everything you need in your video creating toolkit. If you do anything creative online, I can't recommend Storyblocks enough. Just click the button on screen or head over to storyblocks.com/HAI to sign up, and you'll be supporting HAI while you're at it.